What is going on, everyone? Thrift Barringer here live with Richard Holdridge, and it's the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. We are presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC, Buffalo Rock Pepsi, Gordy Eye Care, and Kinetic Credit Union. We had a wonderful weekend of sports. Richard, how you doing, man? I hope you enjoyed these last couple of days off.
Absolutely, I did. Thrift, I'm doing great. I'm ready just to talk sports. What a crazy weekend of sports and just everything that's been going on locally. And we've
Yep.
also got some national sports to talk about, but it's just been a crazy weekend.
I was going to save unsolicited for Wednesday, but I can't. And if this is probably going to be a long show, everyone that's watching, there's too much to talk about that we have to get into. I'm going to have more of a longer version of unsolicited on Wednesday, Richard. But
Yes.
for today, I will have it abbreviated. We got to talk the Luka Doncic trade. We got to talk Fox. We got to talk NBA. That has to come up, and then we'll save NFL Super Bowl predictions and what we think is going to happen. College basketball, we'll see Auburn play on Tuesday, so I want to wait till then. I just think they're just playing at an all-time high level. It's been really impressive. This is the UConn-esque last year, what this Auburn team's doing. But for everybody that's tuning in right now, we got an incredible show for you here tonight, including some special guests that I'm glad that we get to have on. And we will start the show, obviously, as we always do, introing what we got coming up this week. I'll try to have that schedule out. If we don't get to it at the beginning, we'll get to it at the end. I know right now on Georgia Alabama Sports Live YouTube channel, we have Harris County taking on a Griffin team. I know the girls won and the boys are playing right now. That is on the YouTube channel. Rick Beach of Kudzu Sport is there. At 8:15, we're going to have Dana Barker on, who is the voice, PA announcer of the River Dragons. He's also weatherman extraordinaire. He also works for Auburn. He's a big-time referee. He's a long-time broadcaster. A lot we're going to get into, predominantly River Dragons, but we'll have some other topics we're going to talk to him, including that snowstorm that happened literally 2 weeks ago. So 8:15, Dana Barker is going to be on the show. And then at 8:45, if all goes to plan, we're going to have on our lead basketball analyst, who was a state championship winning coach last year, Richard, who is a phenomenal AD and basketball guru who's helped many players get to the next level. He's coming on to talk high school basketball as we give you the updated standings. So we got graphics of all the standings from all 16 teams that we have in our coverage area for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And Coach Corey Black will be on to discuss those. And then we will end the show with our rankings. So we have a new rankings. Not much of a shakeup at the top, more of a shakeup at the bottom. But we'll talk about as Central and a lot of the Alabama schools, Glenwood, their regular season's done. They're actually playing area tournaments this week. And then we also have Muskogee County and the Pacelli, Calvary, and Brookstone all ending their regular season this week. They got region tournament next week. So we got a lot that we're going to be discussing, getting into. Of course, we'll talk River Dragons with Dana. We'll try to get a CSU update in. If not, I plan on having Mike Peacock on, who calls games with and is part of Georgia Alabama Sports Live, calls games with Scott Miller to update us on what's happening with CSU basketball as they are having a phenomenal year. Richard, a lot that we're going to be talking about, but how about this past weekend? As I want to start with where we were at Saturday at the block party for those Carver Tigers. It was a lot of fun to be there, Richard, and I know you were behind the scenes helping produce it, but DJ giving the award, I got to be on stage for that. All the dignitaries that were there. It was just a great turnout, and they raised the money that they needed to get their championship rings.
Yeah, that was the most important thing, that they were able to raise the money. But I tell you what, I was just excited for the Carver Tigers. That school on the hill had a dominant football season, first state championship for a Muskogee County school since Carver won it in 2007, and got to interview Coach Pierre Coffey. WRBL was there, Jack Patterson, and it was just a big celebration. They had vendors, plenty of food. It was a block party for 4 hours, and I was glad that I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, I was glad too, and it was a lot of fun. to be able to be there for that. Again, DJ did a great job speaking to the young men and women. We were able to interview Coach Pierre Coffey, talk to Jack Patterson. So if you missed the entire championship parade, city manager Isaiah Hughley was there. Patty Green was there, who is the chairman of the board for Muskogee County School District. Dr. Lewis was there. We had a great amount of people that were there. And so you can watch it on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Go back to Saturday and you can see everything that happened. And then here's some things, man. Couple things. Central smoked Smith Station, and they're showing why they're the best team in the area. Carver is playing at an all-time high level right now, Richard. They are just obliterating teams. They're defensively on another level. This team right now looks every bit the prohibited favorite to win the state championship under Coach Eric Allen and his loaded Carver Tigers. I'm going to call them the running Tigers because they're running people out of the building every time they play. And then you were there as Carver beat Spencer Carver boys, and then they beat Hardaway boys. The Carver girls beat Spencer girls, came back down 16 and ended up winning the game by 9. They were down 16 at halftime, ended up coming back. How about that for Coach Unley? But then they ran into a buzzsaw in Hardaway. They're undefeated in the region for a reason. And then you were there for Columbus Shaw. The Lady Blue Devils beat Shaw. Richard, I'm telling you, the Lady Blue Devils may make the playoffs this year under LaShonda Adams. She has already eclipsed the win total. She's won more games every single season. She has really rejuvenized that program. And then the Shaw boys program, they got a tough one against Sumter County. If they can get that win, Richard, and then beat Kendrick and Jordan, I think Shaw's another team that can make the playoffs and is playing great basketball. Shaw boys, led by Coach Christopher Horton and Coach Dickey.
Yeah, Shaw could run the table because they do end the season with Kendrick and Jordan. They do play Sumter County tonight. It is a makeup game. By the way, the Columbus Lady Blue Devils, they lost to Carver by 10. I know we don't believe in moral victories, but I think that only losing to Carver at their place by 10, a huge improvement from last year. So I know that Coach LaShonda Adams and her entire team has got to be proud. They do face Spencer tomorrow, but I do think that Columbus is going to get locked into that 5 seed, and I think that in the first round of the region tournament, they're going to end up playing Spencer, and I think that that win over Shaw was huge because it solidifies himself as the 5 seed, and Coach LaShonda Adams has improved their win total from last year. They have won 10 games. They're 10-13, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, excellent job by them, and a great weekend for Muskogee County schools. Glenwood also won in their area tournament against Beulah boys and Glenwood boys and girls, and they take on Lee Scott tomorrow for the area championship at Lee Scott. Boys at 7 o'clock, and then 8:30. I think it's going to be an excellent time.
Yes.
So I think 8:30, 7 o'clock, I'll be there. Noah Shelton will both be on the call for what should be a great area championship. Plus, we got some other great games that we will talk about here in just a little bit. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got to say thank you to Griff Gordy and say thank you to Kinetic. Somebody's going to be asking their mom for money if you've seen that commercial. Mom, can I get some more money? I'm going to ask that for Dana Barker because he's richer than everybody put combined that I know in this media landscape. Can't wait to talk to my guy, DB. Every time we have him on, we always get great interaction. If you're watching right now, you got a question for Dana Parker, weather question, Dragons question. I mean, this guy knows everything. Comment right now. We want your interaction. Richard, let's take a break. When we come back, it's Dana Barker time here on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. You're watching right now the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
Even though I'm away at college, Kinetic Credit Union is still the best way for me to stay connected here and at home. With the Kinetic mobile app, I have control of my accounts wherever I go. I can easily transfer money between internal and external accounts, get money faster by setting up recurring transfers, and I can find the nearest ATM or branch right from my phone. Plus, I can add my Kinetic cards to my phone's digital wallet and enjoy quick, secure, contactless payments. By the way, Mom, I need some more money.
Kinetic Credit Union, the energy for your dreams.
Mom, I need some more money.
I need some more money too.
If it worked like that, I mean, whew.
I wish it was that easy
right now. Like, you're a grown man. Why are you asking me for money? But I know that there are grown men out there that still ask their mom for money. And listen, I'm not judging. If your mom wants to help you out, your mom can help you out. I have no problem with that. All right, let's move forward because it's time now for majority that you're watching on Facebook and YouTube. It is the man, the myth, the legend, the Swiss Army knife of all things River Dragons, referee, weatherman. I mean, you got so many hats. It's Dana Barker, but the main hat is my good friend DB. What's up, man? Thank you for joining the show.
What is going on? I heard you before the commercial talking about Dana's the richest man you know, or something like, not the richest man you know, but man, when it comes tax time, no, I'm not. Everything is 1099, brother. I am not. I promise you that. But no, I'm glad to be here. Let's talk it up. I mean, this is that weird part of the year, man. We can talk about football, talk about hockey, talk about baseball coming up, spring training starting in how long? I don't know how long. A few days. I mean,
right.
Let's chop it up.
A lot we're going to get into. And I know majority of it is going to be on the River Dragons. For those that are watching, they know about you being the PA announcer for the River Dragons. You run the fan page, which I always get a good hoot. I get a hoot out of all the time, DB. It is one of my favorite moments. If I got something wrong, I'll just go to the fan page and somebody's going to be saying something to getting them blocked or kicked off.
Yeah. There's a monster right now, and he's be a little harder than monster to run that fan page. I love the fans. I love you guys. I promise. Yes. I love you guys.
Yes, and it's all in fun, and I do enjoy it. But I do got to start here, Dana, and it's not going to be River Dragons. I got to start with the Ravens, and the only reason I'm bringing them up because, in my opinion, after seeing the Eagles and the Chiefs playing in the Super Bowl, they played the best at the end. Eagles, I think, were the best NFC team. The Lions got exposed really bad against the Commanders, but I am not sure that the best team in the AFC is in the Super Bowl. I really think overall from a talent standpoint that is the Ravens. How did you feel about this year, another year in which Lamar Jackson is not able to get to a Super Bowl? Does it bother you, or you feel like he could be a bust and there's no win with this guy? What's your mindset with it?
I don't think it's you can't win. I mean, we talked on, DJ, we talked, a couple of weeks ago when the snowstorm hit. And, he put in perspective, too. We were like, is Mark Andrews going to be allowed in the city of Baltimore? And DJ was like, they talked and Mark's professional. And, you got to put that in perspective. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't Lamar Jackson's fault. What I do regret more than anything is that it threw away a freaking renaissance season from Derrick Henry.
Yes.
I mean, that man, I hadn't seen that man run like that since he played for Bama. He was just a beast out there, and to lose it, I think they get another chance at it, another crack at it, but I don't know if Derrick Henry has a season that he has again, because how running backs go, one false move. I mean, the Niners fan up here is living it with McCaffrey this year. I mean, sorry, Richard, but I mean, one bad move and you're running back, and it's a very, it's a prized position.
And Dana, the Columbus River Dragons, they had a tough road trip. They had to go up to Beamonton. They rarely play Empire teams because of all the teams that are in the Continental Division. They're taking on the defending FPHL champions. They lost both games, which put them in 4th place. Now Athens is a point ahead of them. But the River Dragons got a tough stretch. They got to play 4 games in 1 week. They go to Athens Wednesday night, a rare Wednesday night game.
Yeah, and I'm kind of mad at them too. I mean, and I don't know who does the scheduling for Athens or who opened that date up. What's going on in Athens also on Wednesday night? LSU Georgia basketball,
LSU,
right?
Georgia, yeah.
Right.
I mean, come on, guys. We actually have 3 straight Wednesdays in Athens. The 5th,
wow,
the 12th, the 19th, we're playing in Athens on Wednesday. But
Jesus.
I think it was kind of necessary evil because they didn't have their home arena ready until December. They were just building the arena, so they had to backload their home dates. But sorry, Richard, I didn't mean to take away from that. I just kind of.
Oh no, I was going to ask. Some of the River Dragons fans I've already talked to, they've made that trip and seen Atkins Ford Arena. Tom Callahan said that place is nice. Have you been to Atkins Ford Arena yet?
Yeah, I went for I went the first time not the first time we were there. I went back in early January, I think, when I was still on winter break. It's a beautiful arena. It holds 5,500 for hockey. I mean, I think that's a perfect number for this level of hockey. That team, though, Athens and Binghamton, if you look down their roster up and down, it's guys that have been in the SPHL, guys that have been in the ECHL. So basically, it's like a low A, put in baseball perspective, baseball's coming up. It's like a low A ball club with guys that have been in high A and double A. basically, that's what Athens is, and that's the Binghamton roster as well. I'm not making excuses because we've hung with Athens. We should have hung with Bingo. I'm not sure what happened those 2 games, but but they have a really good roster. We have guys that have been in higher levels too. So, don't want to make excuses there. But whenever you go to Athens, every game's been close. We've had a bunch of games go to overtime. Last one was a 1-0 shootout victory for Athens. Both goalies get a shutout, and then Athens wins in the shootout. So, it's always going to be a fun, close game. I plan on being there on Wednesday in an undisclosed location. But, I'll definitely be there on a hump day to watch the Rock Lobsters.
But, Dana, the good news is the River Dragons do not have to leave the state of Georgia until they play the Motor City Rockers on February 28th.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing about traveling. We got a pretty stacked home schedule here. And I kind of equate our fan base. I know I was joking about the fan page to start the show. I equate our fan base now to Alabama this year. Mm-hmm. Not that DeBoer came in for Jerome or Boom Boom or anything, but we've been used to success. At least regular season, regular season, we had the best record in Columbus hockey last year. We lost Carolina in a heartbreaker, but we've lost a few more games this year than last year. We're still way above 500. We're still fighting for home ice in the first round. All is not lost, but I think the fans have gotten just spoiled from being able to roll over teams 6-1, 7-1, 6-2. That's not happening this year. There's a lot more parity in this league this year. So it's a little tough on some of our fans, but I think it's better for the Fed overall to have that parity and to have the competitive teams there in Athens, and Baton Rouge is a much improved team. Monroe's a great expansion team as well. So we got pretty good teams peppered all throughout the Continental Division.
Dana, I got to ask the tough questions, okay? Because as a casual fan that does not keep up with it religiously, I've made mention of that over and over again. I do love the River Dragons, but also it's really hard to keep up with everything else that's happening in our area. I got to keep up with all the high school sports, and it seems like it's on the back burner. So when I get my River Dragons knowledge, it's either from you, when we have you on, Tom Callahan, Jerome Boom Boom Bouchard. And when I talk to Tom and Jerome about this same question, about the start and the way the season is going right now, which I get that is having its ups, and right now it's having its lows, that it's really gotten the fan base worked up. I didn't feel like there was any type of anxiousness from Coach Bouchard and from Tom. They feel like this team's going to be where it needs to be when playoff time comes around. So this is basically your moment to kind of talk to the fan base on, I know you want to win now, but in the grand scheme of things, winning now doesn't win you championships, as we've seen the last couple of years.
Right. And we lost 11-4 in Binghamton. But if you go back to last year, next to last game of the regular season, we beat Carolina 11-1. Mm-hmm. Well, what did that get you? It got you a heartbreaking overtime loss to Carolina when it mattered in the division championships. I keep telling the guys it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's why I said on the fan page, if you read it, it's 1 out of 56. Yep. This weekend was 2 out of 56. It's a long season. Looking at the standings right now in the Fed, we're 4th place. We've got 5 games in hand, though, on Baton Rouge. So really, we've got the 3rd best winning percentage in the Continental Division right now. And basically, our record right now is what? 18. I hate how they do it with overtime wins, shootout wins.
Right.
We're 18-8-4. If you told me you had a record of 18-8-4, you're 10 games above 500, nobody should be jumping ship right now. I think we're okay. We've got 30 games, got 26 to go. A lot can happen in those 26 games in these 2.5 months before the end of the season coming up.
Richard? Dana, let's talk about Alexander Geminoff. He got his 100th career goal. He came from Watertown. He's been with the River Dragons for 3 seasons now. He's about to approach his 200th point. He's actually on a pretty good pace. Only playing in the FPHL for 4 seasons now. Are we witnessing something special with Geminoff? I know that the River Dragons' leading goal scorer is Ryan Hunter, but Alexander Geminoff has been really consistent for the River Dragons the past couple of years.
Yep, and Jammer's on that second line. The first line is loaded up with, Justin McDonald and Ryan Hunter and Kyle Moore. Those are kind of our first line guys. But Jammer's out there with, we got him with Alex Sorjahan. We got him with Austin Doe on that second line. So we have balanced scoring. That's the good thing about this team. We're not looking at 1 or 2 superstars. It's any given night somebody's going to step up. Like you said, Huntsy's number 1 in points, but for Jermaine to get that 100th goal and have that very important point there, good for him. But Jerome has had, ever since we've been in the league, in the Fed at least, we've had a pretty balanced team where you can roll 2 or 3 lines that can have equal scoring. I mean, you're going to have your first line that's kind of above, but it's not your first line like this and your second and third lines down here. It's your first line, your second line is like 1A, 1B, 1C. It's not necessarily 1, 2, or 3.
Dana, and I want to get the technical side of you being a PA announcer. You've got such a groove. I mean, I feel like it's second nature when you're doing these River Dragons games. And as someone that had to fill in for you, holy smokes, and got a brunt work of I'm not Dana Barker, which I emphasize. I know I am not DB, but what is it about this job, going back to the Cottonmouths, where you knew this was your calling, man? Because now it really sets the atmosphere. I love it. All the fans love it. And it's noticeable when you're not there, when you have to do your other duties. How did you know this was something that was a calling of yours, man?
Man, I appreciate that. I filled in one game back in 2002. I feel like I told the story recently, but I filled in. We were playing Baton Rouge, actually. We're in the ECHL. We're playing the Baton Rouge Kingfish. I think Mike V was the announcer back then. We all know Mike V.
Yep.
He was out sick, I think, and I filled in. And the coach at the time, Bruce Garber, if you remember him from way back, Garbs called me the next day and was like, "Man, you were awesome." And it was just, I was trying to just get the crowd pumped up. So the rest was history. V and I kind of split roles in 03, 04. One of us would do the radio or the internet radio side. The other one would do the PA side. And we would swap every game. Phil Roberto did that, and I owe everything to him for kind of getting me up to speed on that. That was great to do that. But that one game, I think, kind of set it off for me, and just being able to entertain the crowd. And
Right.
it's like you and I talk about all the time, Thrift. And I know, Richard, I know you agree with this too. We all three of us have a servant's heart. We are wired to bring our love of sports, our love of whatever, to others and share our love with the community. And that's what it was for me, share my love of hockey, getting the crowd involved, getting them pumped up. And, it just took off from there. And being able to be the DJ as well, because I was just a PA announcer and the DJ would step on me basically. And it was like, I'm like, let me just do both. And Jason Bray was the old assistant general manager. He and I was like, well, why don't you just try it? And so I did that and did music. So it's like, when you're not doing one, you're doing the other. So it's not hard. So I just kind of fit in that role there, and it's been doing that ever since.
Unbelievable. Richard.
Well, Dana, I was looking at the standings here, and obviously right now the best team in the Continental Division is the Carolina Thunderbirds. Binghamton is the defending FPL champions, but it seems like the Continental Division is very top-heavy with a lot of good teams. You got Baton Rouge, the Zydeco, you got the Athens Rock Lobsters, even the Blue Ridge Bobcats are pretty good. Why does it seem like the Continental Division is always top-heavy with some talented teams? And do you think that that's an easier path? Because you got to beat the Continental winner to get to the Commissioner's Cup final, where it's probably going to be Binghamton because they have a huge gap. Port Huron has got 57 points, Binghamton with 89, and Columbus is actually only 2 points behind the second place team in the Empire Division. Do you feel like with these tough teams in the Continental that it might work in Columbus's favor and they can get hot at the right time? And if they can just get past Carolina, because I know that's the Achilles heel. They have lost to Carolina the last 2 seasons in heartbreak fashion. I do feel like if Columbus can get past Carolina, I think that they should be the favorite in the FPHL Commissioner's Cup. But just talk about just that gauntlet of having to get through the Continental Division to try to get to the Commissioner's Cup.
No, yeah, good question. I feel like the Dragons could beat any team in the Continental any given night, top to bottom, like you said. And really, it comes down to there's not many weak links in our division. And it's kind of different. The hockey's different because Continental and Empire, let's just call it what it is. It's north-south. Continental is basically the Southern Division. You've got teams that play in bigger arenas. They have more of a fan base. The northern teams, I'm looking right now, you got Hudson Valley, you've got Motor City, you've got Danville. Those 3 teams, the bottom 3, have gone through, and I'm just going to be blunt, they've gone through some turmoil with ownership, turmoil with their home rink, turmoil with just with keeping a roster. Danville has lost 13 games in a row. If you look at that, Richard, down the bottom too. So and I'm not saying Binghamton is getting fat off of them. I'm not. Binghamton's a damn good team. I'm not taking anything away from them when I say this, but they have more weak links, I think, in the Empire than we do in the Continental. Mississippi is not doing too hot right now, but that's the only really weak link, if you will. Monroe's kind of down there, but they're a 500 team. So is Blue Ridge. So I think just talking about that, the parity, like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. The parity in the Continental is better than the parity in the Empire Division. And I think it's because of the venues we play in. We play in big arenas and we play in front of big fan bases, and the guys want to be there and like the hockey down here.
DB, so
TB.
a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you know, but there was a snowstorm that came in. I don't know if you were busy during that time period. I know if you went viral on several videos and people always message you, probably 9 million people message you.
Why couldn't join y'all a couple weeks ago?
Exactly right. But I got to talk about that, man. For one, I've known we've had situations like that in the past, but a pretty surreal moment. I felt like everything that's happening in our world, especially in the city of Columbus, there's been a lot of negative stuff, especially with crime and everything else. It felt like in that moment of time, everything positive could come out of it. It felt like a sense of joy. Everybody was enjoying the snow. What was your overall take as a weatherman's perspective? And was everybody nice to you, or were there people that came after you, or did you get to say, told you I was right? Because I know that's what y'all want to do so bad.
No, I mean, we've been wrong on that before, but we've always said better safe than sorry. I mean, if you know even a little bit about how weather works down here, we closed schools about 10 years ago for we thought it was going to be an ice storm, but it was 34 degrees to 32 degrees. Well, ice freezes at 32. 34 is a cold rain outside. So all these parents sitting home with their kids all ticked off, like, what's going on? But if it was 2 or 3 degrees colder, you would have been in a skating rink. So it was that, when it hits and when you see the snow out there, and I was actually in Eufaula. I went down to Eufaula and covered it for WTVM, where they had 5 inches of snow as opposed to 2 to 3 here in Columbus. It was kind of a weird setup. The cold air was there. The further south you went, the more snow you got. I mean, there were places down in Florida, a little place outside of Pensacola called Milton set the record with 10 inches of snow. 10 inches is going to be the Florida all-time record in recorded history. So we kind of knew it was going to be a sure thing. It was just going to be how much we would get here, and we knew we were going to get more south and north. So places that aren't used to it we're going to be able to enjoy it there.
Yeah, and I think it was an enjoyable moment. Like I said, it was really cool, and I know in those moments of crisis, where there'd be a hurricane, whatever it may be, it's like you put on your superhero cape, man. It's like you're ready to go to work. You're ready to go into the eye of the storm. Dude, I don't mean to sound like I'm like, oh, man, I'm always in awe of Dana, but I really am, man. It really is an impressive thing to go from being the PA announcer, working at Auburn, which you got your shirt on now, to then putting your weatherman hat on and going to Eufaula in the middle of a snowstorm. Why do you like doing all these things, man? And why weather? Because I feel like that's really your true love. Why is that something that you wanted to take on? And when was it, at an early age?
Yeah, weather, I've loved that since I was probably 3-4 years old. I mean, that's been kind of my first love. But in Columbus, Georgia, as you guys know in media, once you get on TV, the money's really not there. I mean, really it's a stepping stone because other than DK, Derek Kincaid, and other than Bob Jeswald, you see a lot of folks cycling out because Columbus is a training ground. And Derek loves doing that. Bob loves doing that. We get the guys trained up, and then they're off to the next market. So there's not really much in the way of moolah to kind of make a career out of that. But I've been blessed with people that let me kind of do this. My management at Auburn lets me I'm teaching a class at Auburn in climatology this semester for the first time. So I'm actually getting in the instruction part of it. So that, I've been able to do the hockey thing, and it's just been kind of set up where they don't really collide with each other. I mean, they're kind of in separate seasons. The football officiating thing as well. It's kind of in a separate season as well, and kind of rolls right into hockey. But, doing all that, and it goes back to the servant's heart thing, man. I just love being able to help people get to where they need to be. I love being able to help people enjoy what they're doing, enjoy the game, loud crowd. Military night Saturday, probably going to be a sellout with 7,500 people. Y'all need to be there and show up and show out. It's going to be an awesome game. Just hearing that big crowd just roar is just one of my first loves there, and I enjoy that, and I enjoy keeping people safe on the weather side too.
Dana, obviously, I follow you because whatever you say when it comes to the weather, I'm going to have faith in that what you're saying is correct. I know,
Richard, I'm not trying. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt, man. But
come on now.
I really hope you're about to ask him about the Rapids. I really hope that that post that post that came up is that making it? Because it would be a great conversation, Richard. I'm sorry I had to interrupt, but I didn't think
Dana
it was
knows from experience, because the franchises have failed in this city. That everything has to fall into place. You got to have the right ownership. You got to have passionate fans.
Yep.
You got to have the backing, and you've got to have the desire to make this work. And I don't really want to go on a tangent of that, because it was a learning experience. And
it's okay. This is your show, man. Go on a tangent.
This is where it got my start. If I think if it wasn't for the Rapids, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. But I do want to talk about the weather, because I think that the weather and sports do collide in our city. And obviously we have Carver's playing 7 games in 10 days because Muskogee County was completely canceled for an entire week. There was only 1 day of snow, but that snow turned into black ice. And there was a lot of just the slightest black ice in shaded roads. The school buses are not going to drive on it. And so the kids are out of school all the way up until Friday. I mean, do you think that was kind of I think that Muskogee County was very prepared, but I think that more than anything is like, as soon as 3 inches of snow falls, how cold it's going to be for the next couple of days and how long that black ice is going to stay on the road.
Yeah. And, that was the one thing, Thrift, if you go back to your question, did anybody give you grief? That was it. I mean, why are we inside still 40 after the snow? But, you can't justify spending millions of dollars on salt trucks and snow equipment and all that if we're only going to break it out once every decade. Yeah. You can't justify that. You can't. I mean, think about it. If you're in your family and you're like, your kid wants to be like, Daddy, give me this toy right here. It's $1,000. I'm going to use it once now and then once in 10 years. You're going to be like, hell no, I'm not buying you that toy. I mean, it's happening. You've got to have to put perspective here, and you got to. Once in every 5, 6, 7 years, we're going to have this. It's going to shut down for a few days. And yes, it's going to be an inconvenience. Yes, it's going to be an inconvenience to schools like Carver. They got to make up for it. It's an inconvenience to people that lost revenue for 3 or 4 days as well. Bigger story. But, it doesn't happen very often. And yeah, that's really the long and the short of it.
All right. Last question, DB, is about refereeing. All right. And the only thing I'm going to bring up is the fact that I know spring practices are coming. You're going to have spring games that I know for colleges, they start a little bit sooner than high school. Sometimes high schools even wait till May. But as a referee, we have maybe some potential people that want to referee in high school. This is kind of your spill to them if they want to get involved, how they can do that, how there's some practice opportunities coming up here in the spring. And what do you do as a referee to keep y'all honest and prepared for this upcoming season?
Yeah, actually, we had our banquet last night, so that's kind of a strike while the iron's hot. We had Steve Marlowe. I don't know if that means anything to you guys. Steve Marlowe is an SEC referee that refereed the national championship game.
Yep.
And I was wondering, why hasn't an SEC referee done the national championship game in a while? Oh, wait, because SEC teams have been in the championship game. We haven't had one in a while. So, see, he was the last referee to referee a championship game, and SEC referee was Steve Shaw back when it was LSU, Oklahoma, the year that Auburn was number 3 and went undefeated.
Yep.
So it's been 20 some odd years. So Steve had some wonderful insight. This is kind of the time of year where we're learning rules. We're going over rule revisions. I have a buddy of mine and I, they're going to try to do videos and make our mechanics guide more of a video, seeing instead of just reading.
Right.
We're trying to do an undertaking on that as well. We ramp up with May with spring games, and then June we start meeting. But, bigeastfoa@gmail.com is my email address. I'll throw it in the chat here when I get off on Facebook. Hit me up on that. One more point before I go. I want to say this real quick. Smith Station High School home run hire with Justin.
I'm glad you brought that up. I want your opinion on that because we're going to actually interview him.
Russell County. He was the OC. He was Dylan's first OC at Russell County. He's a hell of a guy. He went to Prattville. He knows what it takes to win in 7A. That's the big thing. I think Smith Station hit it out of the park with this guy. I'm not saying, and please don't think I'm dissing Garrison or the current coaching staffs or anything like that. But I think Justin Albert is going to excite some guys. I think he's the right hire at the right time for Smith Station, and kudos to Lee County School Board and Smith Station for that. Just want to say that.
I'm glad you brought that up, man, because last week we were trying to do an interview with him, so I got to talk to him in person. Unfortunately, technology wanted to be a bugaboo, and I'll say that and try to be politically correct because I was really upset on how this didn't go down because it was becoming a great conversation. And I really think this guy's got the energy, the passion, the wherewithal, and the understanding of what it takes as a community and school. Everybody's got to be on the same page, Dana. It cannot be just the football coach. Everybody's got to buy into the culture. I think this guy gets it. But DB, thank you so much, man. And go ahead.
No, he's the right guy at the right time. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Well, DB, thank you so much for your time, man. I look forward to talking to you real soon. You know you're going to be a frequent guest on the show. And how can everyone that update them about this weekend, about the games at the River Dragons?
Yeah, Dragons at home against Mississippi on Friday and Saturday. Saturday is military night, so get your tickets right now. Fort Moore is actually playing an inter-squad game at 4:30. You can get on that game with your ticket.
Nice.
7:35 puck drop on Friday, 7:05 puck drop on Saturday. Come say hello to me. It's going to be a great weekend. Thanks for having me, guys. Love you guys.
Love you too, DB. We'll talk to you later. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got Coach Black here on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show.
You're watching right now the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, my name is Griff Gordy, and here at Gordy Eye Care, we have been serving the Bi-City community for 17 years. As a former state championship quarterback, I love the fact that I can watch local high school athletics from the comfort of my own home. So it was a no-brainer to support Georgia Alabama Sports Live and what they do for young athletes in our area.
And without business like yourself, Gordy Eye Care, none of our coverage would be possible to be able to cover these 16 different high schools, the local colleges, and professional teams. So we'd like to say thank you to you, Dr. Griff Gordy and Gordy Eye Care, for your support of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And you can make an appointment today at Gordy Eye Care with the number 334-291-5125. Keep supporting Gordy Eye Care and keep watching Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Welcome to the Campus Academy Private School, where every student is celebrated for their individuality. With personalized curriculum, students unlock their potential, growing into confident learners. At the Campus Academy, we give teachers the freedom to create dynamic classrooms where every student's voice is heard. Discover the difference. Enroll your child today and watch them thrive.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We want to say thank you to Chattahoochee News and Weather, Colin Scroggins, for allowing us to be the exclusive sports provider of CNAW2news.com. That is CNAW2news.com. And it's also Colin Scroggins on Facebook. That's where I get my news. I know that's where you get your news as well. We also say thank you to WRBL Sports and WTVM Sports. We love having Tony and Jack and all the guys on too. We love our partnerships with all the local media, but we are glad to be the exclusive sports provider for Colin Scroggins at CNAW2news.com. All right, we're going to have on Coach Black here in just a little bit. He is getting set up. And before we have him on, Richard, we have our updated standings and our updated rankings. And I think we'll go ahead and get into it. And maybe we'll save the rankings for Coach Black, and we'll go ahead and throw the standings up. So let's go ahead and do that, Richard, for all those that are watching. And we'll start with the 2A girls classification. We got Hardaway, number 1, undefeated. I don't think they're going to lose. They take on Sumter County tomorrow night. Richard, you will be there for that. And if they win that game, they will clinch the region. Carver, number 2, they've been playing really good basketball. Lost to Hardaway, but got a big win over Spencer. That would have put them in 4th place. So now they're vying for that 3rd spot, and I think they're going to end up winning out. They got a game at Sumter. That's going to be tough. But if they can win out, Richard, for 1, they would be tied with Sumter County for 2nd place. So don't say nothing. Don't look up. But Coach Huntley's team is back up in the top of the standings. Coach Tench's team is another team that's feisty. Brownlee's been magnificent. We've seen what Alexandria Burke is able to do, but plus the Rosser sisters, Coach Tench's team, they're going to be right there in the mix with that. Remember, because they do the same thing in basketball they did in football with the what is it called, Richard? Now I've lost my train of thought.
The overall rankings.
Yeah, so overall records, and they put them in a pot, and they pick out the best rankings, power rankings almost. Number 5 is Columbus. This is a team. How about the Columbus Blue Devils? What a job by them to get a big win over Shaw. I think those are the 5 teams. The Shaw, Jordan, and Kendrick, they're pretty much eliminated. But Columbus, Spencer, they're right there in the mix. Carver, obviously, and then Sumter County and Hardaway. What a way for Hardaway to keep dominating.
Yeah, the latest Max Preps had Columbus right at 33rd. And there's 32 teams from the public school that make the playoffs. So we could end up seeing 5 teams make the playoffs, but it's really all about that region tournament. I think Hardaway is going to host it. Sumter County is going to be the one team that's going to have a disadvantage because they're going to have to travel to Columbus. Everybody's going to play each other. It's looking like Columbus will play Spencer. And I think that if you lose in the first round of the region tournament, that doesn't mean that you're eliminated from going to the playoffs. I think that if you win the region, you're an automatic bid to go to the playoffs. I do think that they are going to have the first, second, third, and fourth place. So I don't think that it's the be-all, end-all. I do think the at-large bids will be available because they are going to go through overall rankings. If this was 4A and above, if you got upset in the first round of the playoffs, you're done. You don't make the playoffs. We've seen this happen before. We saw Carver 2 years ago only won 6 games, ended up upsetting a team and was able to sneak in and get that 4 seed. So it has happened. It's just a little bit different in 3A and below.
All right, let's go to boys now. Obviously, Carver undefeated. They're dominant. They're 18-2. Sumter County lost to Spencer. They're in second. They lost and beat Spencer. Spencer lost to Carver twice and lost to Sumter County once. They're 8-3. If Sumter County loses to Carver, Spencer and Sumter County will be tied for second. I think all 3 of those teams are going to make the playoffs. This is where it comes interesting. I think Kendrick is out. They started off hot, 11-1. They're going to finish out probably not great. I think 14-11 is what I think I had them. 13-12 around there because they got a tough upcoming schedule. When looking at max preps, Richard, I think Kendrick's going to be right there on the edge. But with them losing to Shaw and Columbus both twice, I think Columbus and Shaw are the best mix. I think Spencer, Sumter, and Carver are given. Columbus and Shaw, they're both in the mix right now for making the playoffs. If they both can finish out strong, if Shaw can get to that 500 threshold, same with Columbus, it'll make them a better chance of making the playoffs this year. Great season, though, for a young Kendrick team. Hardaway rebuilding. We know about Jordan. They're rebuilding too under Coach Barnes. But Columbus and Shaw have come on strong as of recently and trying to get in that playoff mix. I think Shaw getting that big win over Columbus at Columbus, that was huge for them in those power ratings to be able to make the playoffs this year, Richard.
Yeah, and looking at the latest rankings, the fact that Shaw right now is 26, Columbus is 29. Columbus is in 4th place, but Shaw is ranked higher than Columbus, and this would be the matchup in the first round of the region tournament. Remember, Shaw can run the table. They're playing Sumter County tonight. They close the season with Kendrick and Jordan. Columbus has to play Carver, which they're playing right now as we speak. They got to play Spencer tomorrow, so they've got a very tough schedule. I think Shaw could end up getting that 4 seed, but it doesn't really matter. They're both going to play a Hardaway, and they're going to end up facing each other. It looks like this is going to be the first round matchup. It's going to be Columbus and Shaw in that first round.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's knock through these out because we got Coach Black coming on here in just a second. We're going to do the rankings with him. Let's get through these rest of these standings fairly quickly. There's nothing really to be said here than the Pacelli girls are in a class of their own. And then Brookstone, who has got a big win against Strong Rock, Coach Kim Ellison's team, they could be vying for maybe a playoff spot. Westfield's the number 2 team. Westwood and Pacelli play for Pacelli's senior night on Friday, but the Lady Vikings are in the class of their own. Richard, let's go to the boys. I'll let you comment on both of them here quickly after we look at the boys. And the same thing with the boys. Class of their own. Brookstone and Calvary are going to make the playoffs. I don't see much of Westfield and Strong Rock. But Brookstone and Calvary are right there at 10 and like 11 in the Maxwell rankings in the GIAA. So they need to finish out the season strong. Calvary needs to beat Strong Rock and Brookstone. They're going to probably lose to Pacelli, but then they take on a Westfield team. So they want to try to finish the season 13-10 on the year. So we'll see how Brookstone finishes out. And hopefully they got a big one tomorrow against Pacelli. If they can get an upset there, they'll move up in the rankings. But it's Pacelli and everybody else in the GIAA 3A, 4A District 5 standings.
Yeah, 3-point win against Midtown, and they got 3 games this week. Brookstone on Tuesday, and they finished the season Westfield School and Strong Rock. I think Pacelli is going to go undefeated.
All right, let's look at the other ones quickly, Richard. We got Harris County. They clinch. How about those Harris County Lady Tigers
Here we
again?
go.
Coach Ramsey done. Northside just young. They're rebuilding. But Harris County, I think this team's going to make a deep playoff run in 4A. And by the way, Sandy Spiel came out with his rankings. I don't know if they were in there. I'm going to pull that up here.
They weren't. They're ranked 10th, but they're
in 4. You're right. They are number 10. They got Midtown in there, who just beat Pacelli, by the way. Warner Robins, Mares, Kell, Creekside, who's undefeated. It's going to be tough, but I like Coach Ramsey Dunn seem to maybe make a quarterfinal appearance again. For the boys team is in a rebuild mode, and there's not really much to say about that. All right, let's go on to Glenwood's region because they're playing in an area championship. Them and Lee Scott and the girls and the boys both tied 5-1. They had to do a coin flip to decide who's hosting the girls and the boys area championship. Lee Scott won both coin flips. And now Lee Scott beat Dadeville and Glenwood beat Beulah. That's both boys and girls. So guess what we get tomorrow night? Glenwood, Lee Scott, part 3. Did you expect anything different?
Nope.
And we're going to get that game at 7 and 8:30 on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Real quick on those, Richard, before we round up and get Coach Black on.
Well, it looks like both Lee Scott and Glenwood for both the boys and the girls are going to be playoff teams. But I think that Lee Scott, like if you go back to the girls, look at the overall record. Glenwood had a better overall record, but Lee Scott ended up winning the coin flip. So it's going to be a tough matchup, but I think that Glenwood knows that they had a chance to beat Lee Scott, and they lost in overtime. They were up big in that game. I like Glenwood against Lee Scott for the girls, and then for the boys, I mean, the key is just trying to stop Hayden Harper. I mean, he could go off for 38 points. And he's a very special player.
Also have Bryce Alexander back. If you get Alexander back, he could make the difference. He was hurt and got hurt last time, and Glenn was able to come all the way back without their second leading scorer. All right, and then finally in Alabama, girls 7A, Auburn beat Central both times, so they'll be hosting that area championship. The semifinals on Thursday. Central's got to beat Smith Station, and then they'll probably take on an Auburn team in the area championship on Friday. And for the boys, Central's undefeated. Again, class of their own with how talented they are. Would have loved to see a Carver Central playoff matchup. But let's go to the boys, Richard, real quick. And it looks like it's going to be probably Central and Auburn. But remember, Auburn lost to Smith Station in that buzzer beater. So they finished 3-3. I think Auburn takes care of business against Opelika, but I wouldn't be surprised if Opelika beats them. Remember, Auburn's beat Opelika twice. Their only losses are 2 to Central and 1 to Smith Station. So we think we're going to get Auburn and Central. And then finally, Russell County girls, they're the 3 seed. Did they lose in their area playoff?
They did. They lost to Pike Road, so their season is over. I mean, look at Park Crossing. They won the coin flip, a 9-14 record, and they end up hosting. They're going to be playing Pike Road in the championship tomorrow.
I know, and Russell County lost. The boys lost to.
Well, actually, correction. This is the boys.
Yes.
Russell County did beat Pike Road, so Russell County Park Crossing in the championship.
And we look for it. And then for the girls, they lost to Pike Road and Park Crossing. Come on, man. They're 30-1. They're one of the top teams in the entire state. So they are our standings. You can see all these on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Facebook page. But without further ado, we're going to bring on one of our lead analysts. He is also one of my dear friends. He's a mentor of mine. He is just a do-it-all man. He got so many guys into college. It is Coach Corey Black of Emmanuel Prep. Coach, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Man, thank you all for having me, man. How y'all doing today, Richard and Thrift?
I'm doing excellent, Coach.
Great, Coach.
Great day to be alive. Great day to talk some high school basketball. As you've been there for several games, Coach, you're going to be there for these region tournament games too coming up. So, Coach, this is what I want to do. We're going to go ahead and throw up the rankings, and we're going to get opinion, live reaction from Coach Corey Black here as one of our lead analysts. So let's go ahead and throw up the girls' rankings first. All right, Coach, we'll start with Columbus. The Lady Blue Devils led by LaShonda Adams. I don't know if you heard us before earlier, but they have improved their win total, kind of like you did at Pacelli every year under Coach Adams. She is now 10-13, and they are right there on the threshold of maybe making the playoffs this year. How about LaShonda Adams and the Columbus Blue Devils, Coach?
Hey, Coach Adams have a lot of energy. She's passionate, and she don't fake it. You know what I mean? A lot of coaches out here faking it, but, you know, Coach Adams, she's passionate. She love her girls. She love her school. She love her program. You gotta love it, and the results are showing right here. Finishing at number 10 right here.
Richard, Columbus, you were there for that. You know how good they are. They actually just had you had her on the broadcast. She just signed to play college basketball. So talk about that, Richard, and Columbus Lady Blue Devils, who got a big win against Shaw this past Saturday.
By the way, Jayla Lockhart's got a future in broadcasting. She did a phenomenal job. Came up there, and I just interviewed her during the boys' game. She got hurt in that Shaw game, and if you look at her face, I didn't know how serious that injury was going to be. But just the simple fact that she came back into the game. I mean, not only she makes the shot, gets fouled, and it looks like Columbus is about to ice the game. Somebody has to come in for her to shoot her foul shot. But she did come back into the game. Yeah, she was icing her wrist, but she was going to be fine. Coach Adams said that, she is just a warrior. And basically, she signed with a D1 school. She recently got an offer at, Kent State. I mean, so congratulations to her. And also, she's a pretty good broadcaster. She was able to have with some confidence on the air, just talking about her teammates and being a senior and what it meant to play for Coach Adams. And I thought that was a great moment. And I tell you what, I was impressed with Jayla Lockhart, who is averaging over 10 points a game. She was their leading scorer. Harmony Franklin, we knew she played flag football. She can just drive down the lane. She's got quickness and speed to get layups. It's hard to stop her. And then, of course, Alana Gilbert is just the motor that keeps going. And Coach Adams has got a great team. And they almost beat Carver tonight. I want to emphasize that. They only lost by 10 to Coach Anson Hunley, a team that has won 2 championships in 19 and 2021. By the way, this was the rematch of the 2017 state championship when Coach Hunley.
Yeah, and I remember that. And Coach Hunley was coaching the Carver Tigers. So Columbus doing a great job. Number 9, Northside and Smith Station. Northside having a rebuilding year under Coach Jarquella Wood. Smith Station, another young team that has had a decent year. They're 12-8, and they take on Central. They play Central tough both times. Yeah, number 8. Russell County, Mackenzie Word, she's sensational. Russell County's got a lot of sophomores and freshmen and 8th graders, so I expect Russell County, that's a future team. The fact they even won 11, 12 games this year and beat some of the teams they did, that's impressive. And Mackenzie Word is a sophomore coach putting up 20 points a game. That's a primetime player. You know about her. You've seen her play. She is excellent. So talk about those Russell County Warriors and how they're on the upward trend, aren't they, Coach?
Yeah, Russell County is a really good, talented team. I love their coach. He does a great job, really passionate. Russell County on the upward swing, man. About a year or two, we'll be talking about them competing for Elite 8 Final Fours here in a second. So I'm excited about the future of Russell County.
Having a girl putting up 20 points a game, Richard, that is very impressive. Number 7, Spencer. They're 500. Again, a team that's probably going to make the playoffs, Coach. That back-to-back times they have been up on Carver and end up losing the game against them. You know what it means to and how hard it is. You just come over, get over that hump against your rival. They haven't been able to do that, but Coach Shent's got a really good program. They come in at number 7, and then number 6 is the Carver Tigers, another team that plays 15 players. Coach only plays 15 guys, girls. It is unbelievable the depth that they have on their team. The Carver Lady Tigers and the Spencer Greenways, 6 and 7. Richard, you go, and then we'll talk with Coach Black about those two teams.
Well, first of all, I'm looking at the rankings. I mean, if you look at the playoffs, obviously Carver and Spencer will be in the playoffs. Carver is actually ranked 23rd. So they might be on the outskirts depending on what happens in this region tournament. Right now, Sumter County and Hardaway are actually in the top 10 according to Kyle Sandy and Sandy Spell. Spencer is ranked 27th. So they would be in the playoffs. And right there, Columbus 34, Shaw is 35. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't think it's ever been done. We could possibly have 6 teams in the region make the playoffs just because of where they're all ranked, but probably not, because if you saw in football, they sent a 3-7 Therrell instead of Hardaway. I was kind of bitter about that. So I don't know if we're going to end up getting 6 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, but Coach, Carver, you know about Anson Hunley. He's playing 15 players. He's got 2 seniors in Cooper that's been fantastic, but he plays a lot of underclassmen. He knows what he's doing. He's building for the future. He had a lot of productivity leave the last couple of years, and this guy knows how to rebuild programs and have them in contending status every year.
Yeah, no question about it. Thrift, Coach Hunley does a great job, and only thing you want this time of year is your team to be playing really good basketball.
Right.
And his team is, and when you get a really good program like Carver and experienced coach like Coach Hunley that can get them in the region playoffs and get them in the state tournament, guess what? Don't count them out. They got a chance. Carver Lady Tigers, they're still here.
Coach, you made mention about playing your best basketball now. You don't care about those December and early January wins. You care about those February wins that lead you into a region championship. And talk about Glenwood. In their first year, Coach, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not think the girls were going to be competitive. I thought they were going to struggle in the area. They went 5-1, won 20 games in 3A. What can you say about Coach Dusty Perdue in the new era of the AHSAA? He is a win away from winning another region championship.
Well, what you can say, Thrift, is Dusty Perdue. I don't care what league you're in, the guy can coach.
Right.
Just that simple, Thrift. Like, nobody cares about 6A, 7A, AISA, GIA. No, if you can coach like Dusty Perdue, you're going to always have a chance. And guess what? The Glenwood Lady Gators, they got a chance because they got Dusty Perdue.
Mimi Johnson has been their leading scorer. They had a game and lost to overtime. It's the first time they lost to Lee Scott coach in over 5 years. It was a monumental win for Lee Scott program. You saw the coach at the end of the game. Lee Scott put up a picture of her literally putting her arms in the air like she had just won a state championship. I know Glenwood's going to be motivated, and I can't wait to see that. And remember, Glenwood's doing this without their starting point guard. Okay, their leader, one of their best offensive players, has been out since the first game of the season and still won 20 games. That's credit to Coach Dusty Perdue. But Pacelli, Richard, I got to talk about that one, and then I'll let Coach Black get into it. They lost to Midtown. They're 14-4, undefeated in region play, but all their losses came against elite talented, not one GIAA loss. And you know what? They're the 4 seed right now. They would be 4 in the GIAA standings. I cannot believe that. It's mind-blowing because Pacelli's played a tough schedule, and they're defending champions for a reason, Rich.
Yeah, I can't believe they're ranked 4th in the GIAA. I mean, I know that Athens Christian, Tallulah Falls, I mean, we have Stratford Academy. I know George Walton, they played in the championship last year. I just don't know if they're looking at these wins and the quality of and I don't know just the quality opponents. I mean, they beat Hardaway. I mean,
they beat the number 1 team on this list.
Yeah,
now they did lose to 2 and 3. That's why they're not right there. But Pacelli, I mean, easily in any other place would have been the number 1 team in the area. Isn't that right, Coach Black? What can you say about Bryant Thomas and the Pacelli Lady Vikings and the job he's done this year? And he took a page out of your book. He keeps playing these tough games and getting and losing, but I feel like those are learning experience to get him better for the playoffs.
No question about it, Thrift. Like you said, it's a learning experience. It's not a loss until your season is over. So everything else is a learning experience. And you know what? Coach Brian Thomas has did a good job with his schedule this year. You know, what's really hard, Thrift, is scheduling games when you're the defending champions. Because guess what? Nobody wants to play you.
Right.
The GHSA schools don't want to lose to a GIAA team. And the GIAA teams don't want to play your non-conference. So guess what? You're stuck with your region, and then you're stuck with trying to find teams that will play you. So guess what happens? You got to go play people like Harris County, people like Midtown, people that want to go play you. But you know what? It's going to pay off for them. I think the GIAA girls basketball side is a little tougher than it was last year.
Yep.
And other side of it is, you know, when you're the defending state champions, the reality is you're not as hungry as you was last year. You can't just you can't just walk up on people and say, hey, we here. No, they see you right there, Brian. So, you know, that's the other part of it. But, yeah, he'll be ready. You got George Walton out there in the GIAA. You got Loganville. You got Athens Christian that's sitting there waiting on them to go get him. So, but I think he's prepared. I think he didn't play the right schedule to be ready for all of it.
Yeah, and exactly right. And then the main factor is he's got Michaela Hosley, who looking like she may be vying for another, at least All-State and maybe GIAA Player of the Year and back-to-back. But, Richard, let's talk about the top three, and I'll let you go first. Hardaway, their team is so loaded. And they're playing their best basketball right now. Kelly Ellison's team is on another level. They've played a tough schedule. They've got some big-time wins. Obviously, some of their losses are understanding because they're playing some of the top teams from other classifications. But I think Burrell, A.K. Shelton, and Johnson, they're seniors for a reason. They're going to probably graduate with one of the winningest class in the history of Hardaway Lady Hawks program. And Rihanna Boynton's a leading scorer as a sophomore. You got Jayla Todd off the bench. Coach Ellison's got an incredible team. I think this team right now, with all the experience, I don't care about the regular season with having 6 losses. What I care about is how are you playing towards the end of the season, and do you have the experience to overcome tough adversity? Yes, this team checks all those boxes. They look like the team that's going to win a championship. They're 4th in Sandy Spiel. I have them a little bit higher than that. Central, they got to get past that Auburn thing, but I'm telling you, Jabria Lindsay, as long as you got her on your team, Richard, you're fine. She's putting up 25 and 5. By the way, she put up 34, 9 and 9 in that Smith Station game. She's a walk-in triple-double. And Janiyah Broome of Harris County. Stephanie Ramsey-Dunn said the importance of what she has done for our program is she is going to go down as one of the greatest players that's ever left, including Jessica Carter out of Harris County. She has been phenomenal. And Harris County, they have been incredible in a tough region that's got Stars Mill, Griffin, who's played a state in a few years ago. Look at Harris County looking like a top 10 team and a team that can make a quarterfinal run. Talk about the top 3 teams in our rankings, Richard.
I want to start with Hardaway. They go from 4A, losing to Baldwin in the championship, down to 2A, kind of the similar path that the Carver football team had. A lot of people who vote on this poll are familiar with Josie, Murray County, Thompson, Butler, all these 2A schools that were dominant in 2A. But Hardaway's not your ordinary 2A school. And
they played in 4A last year.
Yeah, they were in 4A last year. That's why they're ranked 4th. The Max Preps ranking has got them ranked 6th. And I think that Hardaway's playing the best basketball at the right time. If you look at their record, it's because they had tough opponents that were higher classifications to start the season. I know that Coach Kelly Ellison is going to have them ready, and they got to be the favorites to me to win 2A and beat anybody. And I know that the reason why I'm comparing this to Carver football is because a lot of people saw how good Pierce County and Appling County were, and they thought that, well, because they are the defending 2A champions, they should beat Carver. I don't think that that's going to be the case. And I think that Hardaway is going to do very well, and I see them winning the championship.
Coach, do you agree with Hardaway being the number 1 team? I know Pacelli beat them on that buzzer beater. You were on the call with me. It's really flipping a coin with all these teams. Hardaway beat Harris County. Central beat Pacelli. Pacelli beat Hardaway. Harris County lost to Hardaway but beat Pacelli. I mean, those top 4 are really interchangeable.
Yeah, and you know what, Thrift? We always have to remember why y'all do these rankings. They go back to when you have these scenarios, who has the best chance to win the state championship? Is it Hardaway? Is it Central? Is it Harris County? Is it Pacelli? Now, in my opinion, I think it's Pacelli.
Yeah, that's a good point, Coach.
You know what I mean? I think it's Pacelli. Like, they all beat each other. But at the end of the day, in these rankings, that's what makes them so special.
Yeah.
Who can win state championship?
Yeah.
Pacelli, Harris County, Central, Hardaway. Yeah. So, I don't know. That's what makes your ranking so special, Thrift.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Coach, and that's what we do. And I can tell you, you could see a major swap. You can see Pacelli moving up, especially when we get to playoffs and we see how the standings play out. But you're right. I will say Hardaway and Pacelli have the better chance out of Central, Harris County, and Hardaway, all 4 of those teams. But we'll see how that plays out. All right, let's go ahead and go to the boys now. And go through these fairly quickly. Number 10, Coach Terrence Hill in his first year, one of those young coaches, Coach Black, that's done a great job. He's in the mix for making the playoffs. In our updated one, actually, we have Shaw number 10. Richard, you didn't download the updated one, but it's okay. Shaw and Columbus right there at number 10. Shaw did beat Columbus. They beat him twice, so that's why they're number 10. But Terrence Hill and Coach Dickey at Shaw, both them vying for a playoff spot, Coach.
Yeah, good job, Terrence Hill and Coach Dickey. They're doing a really good job, old school, helping over there at Shaw.
Yeah.
Really good two programs right there on the up and come. I could see in a year or 2 years from now, they up there 1-2, and we're up there talking about them. So they're doing a really good job.
Adam Denson, your program, your sons have been playing excellent basketball, and I will say I really like the attitude and the vibe I'm getting from that Shaw program. Number 9, Coach Ingersoll's team, another young team, Coach. They upset Auburn, got a big win, but they are just full of sophomores and juniors. They're not going to make the playoffs this year, but I love this Smith Station team and what they're going to be in the future. Number 8 is Calvary. I'm bringing them up because, Coach, I think when they're fully healthy, they can pretty much compete with anyone in the GIAA aside from Pacelli. Problem is getting fully healthy and having everyone on the same page. They come in at number 8. They got to beat. They're 11-12 or 12-12, excuse me. If they can win, Coach, he put up the updated one. If they can win on Friday with Strong Rock, they'll be 13-12. Them and Brookstone, they're going to be right there between 7 and 10. And I said this to both coaches. You want to avoid being the number 8 seed and the number 4 or 5 seed. You know why? Because you're playing Pacelli and you're on their side of the bracket. If you're a 2, 3, 6, or 7, you're going to avoid Pacelli until the state championship. But talk about Brookstone and Calvary led by Coach Gordon and Carl Ivey. Both those guys who were played underneath you, learned from you, man, and now they're leading their own programs, doing a great job this year.
Yeah, great to see Coach Gordon leading Calvary, doing a good job, building the program up. Coach Ivey building Brookstone up. Both competitors doing a really good job. Be exciting. They got a region tournament coming up hosted by Brookstone.
Yep.
You never know how that could go. One of them probably got to play each other to get to Pacelli. Then the thing about the GIAA is so small, somebody going to have to see Pacelli early. Yeah. They may have to see each other early. So, hey, somebody going to have to turn it up here in the next 2 weeks to get to the next round.
Richard, I'm going to get your thoughts on those two teams here in just a second, in Columbus and Shaw, and let you have a quick saying on those. I just want to add, too, Coach, in your playoff run last year, the team that gave you the toughest task, that was Brookstone in the quarterfinals. And this is just in my opinion, because you took care of business. It was a tough game against Loganville. I really feel like that was just like the atmosphere and just being nervous in the state championship. I think Brookstone had a good game plan, especially in that first half. So maybe you're right. Maybe you want to catch them early than in that state championship game, because then they got all the experience and the upper hand. Richard, 7 through 10, I know you're excited to see Brookstone and Calvary and Shaw and Columbus playing in a region tournament. Then maybe they can get hot, and who knows what could happen.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that I think that the 3 top teams, in that region in the GIAA, Pacelli, Brookstone, and Calvary. I know you want to try to avoid the 8-9 seed. I know that they had Tallulah Falls right there. Brookstone was right there. The last rankings was 8. Tallulah Falls was 9, and Calvary was 10. And I know that if Calvary, let's say Calvary gets the 10 seed, and they end up upsetting the 7 seed, and then you get to play a team like Athens Christian. Or Cristo Rey. And I think that as long as you avoid Pacelli in that second round, I mean, you could get hot, and you might end up playing him either in the Final Four or the championship. Anything can happen.
Yeah, by the way, right now, Brookstone is according to GIAA rankings, they're the 9 seed. They would take on Bethlehem. If they beat at Bethlehem, they would take on Pacelli in the quarterfinals. Calvary would have to be on the road at Tallulah Falls. If they win that, they would take on Athens Christian in that quarterfinal. So we'll see how those play out, and those rankings will shake up. They'll come out next Sunday to decide playoffs, because guess what, Coach? The next week is region, and then we got the playoffs after that. Number 6, Russell County. They are in an area championship. Come on, man. I'm telling you, the way Coach Battle coaches his team, Coach, you've seen him in your fall league. They may not have the most talented team. They play hard. They get after you. And he won 20 games again. That's 3 consecutive years. And he's a 1 win away from playing or winning an area championship like he did last year. What can you say about Coach Battle and his Russell County program?
I tell you one thing about Thrift. I think Coach Battle is probably the most underrated coach in this area and probably in the Southeast. He's an Auburn Hall of Famer. The guy knows exactly what he's doing. But I just don't think he get the credit that he deserves. Maybe because he's down there in the country in Russell County, but Coach Battle can coach. I tell you what, I have my son play for him. The guy's good. Don't count Russell County out.
Richard, I'll let you talk about them, and then I want to go to Spencer because Spencer's number 5 right now. If they can win out, they're going to make the playoffs. That's a given. They did beat Sumter County at Sumter County. That's a huge win. They're just not in the same class as Carver, which not a lot of people are. But Spencer and Coach Allen's team, I still think they can sneak up on some people. I think they can host the first round, and I think this team could make a decent playoff run. Richard, for the Spencer Green Waves. They've won 15 games again. Coach Allen is one of the best young coaches we got in our area, and he has done a great job with his senior group led by KJ Griffin. But I know you've been really impressed with Russell County.
Oh, absolutely. Got a big win over Pike Road last weekend. They will take on Park Crossing in the area championship tomorrow. Russell County, what Coach Ronnie Battle has done, they got to the second round of the playoffs last year.
Yep.
A lot of people just don't realize when people think of Russell County, you think of a baseball school, you think of a football school, that the basketball there is just a hidden gem. And there are some talented basketball players, including Kingston Henry, Josh Battle, his son, got some real Horace Anthony. I mean, they are deep, and it really goes to what their JV team was able to do, and they've actually come up through, and I've been very impressed with Russell County, and they have been, going through the grind and playing a lot of tough teams. As for Spencer, I think Spencer is right where they need to be. I think that it's Carver and everybody else in that region. They did beat Sumter County. I do think that Spencer is going to make the playoffs and face Carver in the region championship. And I've been very impressed with both these schools, and I agree with where they are in the rankings.
Glenwood, number 4, coach. They're 20-6, went 5-1 in the region. They lost to Lee Scott by 3. They beat Lee Scott by 2 at home. And guess what? They decided that the tiebreaker was going to be a coin flip. So now they got to play in the area championship game, both the girls and the boys, tomorrow night at Lee Scott. But Glenwood, they got a good team. And Alexander, who's one of the best 8th graders in our area. Swag and Jadarian Holloway is one of the best sophomores. And then you got the 3 seniors that have just been there and just know how to grind, know how to do all the little things right. And Levi Pender and Sykes and also Mason McCrane. Coach Purdue has got a really good team. They're going to make the playoffs this year. And, heck, Coach, I think they can surprise some people in the playoffs. They come in at number 4. How about those Gators?
Hey, don't count Dusty Purdue out. Are you crazy? If you think you're going to count him out, I'm not. I ain't that crazy. Coach Purdue, he got swag. He got what's the Mason twin. Like, yeah. They're gonna be fine. This is first year in the AHSA. They playing with house money. The guy's gonna be fine. He going to Lee Scott. He'll love it. I'm not counting against the Hall of Famer. Y'all can do it, but I'm going with the Hall of Famer at Lee Scott in the area tournament. Have a good seed going into the state tournament. Give me Dustin Purdue and the Gators. We're gonna be fine.
I'm giving me 2, Coach, and we'll be there tomorrow night. Looking forward to be able to do that game at 7 and 8:30. All right, we'll wrap up the last 3. Coach, I've had people tell me that you really have Pacelli in the same classification as Carver, and listen, I think Carver has a great team, and them in Central, from top to bottom, the best rosters in the area. Carver may have the deepest roster, to be honest with you. But you cannot tell me on a neutral court, Pacelli and Carver wouldn't be a great game. It would not be a 40-point blowout like many people think because they hear Pacelli in private school. Pacelli, Makai Williams took someone's soul this past weekend. Coach, you posted it. He is playing on another level. Jalen Bush is my vying for an all-by-city player. He's been incredible. He may be my GIAA player of the year if they win it all this year. That's just in my opinion. He's a leading scorer. How about the Vikings? 32-game winning streak. Coach, going back to your last 12 games last year, he's 20-0 this year, Coach Calvin Thomas, and the Vikings are playing great basketball. What can you say about them and how they're playing?
Hey, the Pacelli Vikings are doing a great job. Hats off to Coach Thomas and just taking the torch and just keeping it going. Let's the elephant in the room, Thrift, is why Carver and Pacelli didn't play each other. Hey, we had it set up, but hey,
come on now.
I guess in the MLK Classic at CVCC, it is what it is. It didn't play out, but hey, It is what it is, but at the end of the day, Pacelli's in the GIAA. They're doing really good. Man, would Carver beat Pacelli? Would Pacelli beat Carver? Who knows? Who cares at this point? We want Pacelli to win the GIAA. We want Carver to make a run. We want Central to make a run. So at this point, it really doesn't matter. So all the local politics, no, stop talking about it. Root for them all. Root for all the teams to go as far as they can. But at the end of the day, Pacelli is rolling. Jalen Bush, you talk about the GIAA Player of the Year thrill. I don't know. Jalen Bush might be the best player in this city. Or the stuff I'm watching, what they just did against Midtown in overtime yesterday.
Yeah.
He took over that game. He led the game. And these guys on a 31-game winning streak. I don't care what league you're in, Thrift. That's hard to do.
Exactly right, man. And you're right about we almost have Pacelli and Carver. And listen, if Coach Black's trying to do something for the city, let the city have it. We would love to see Pacelli Carver or Carver Central Pacelli. Can we just have it? Come on. Throw the politics out. Let Coach Black coordinate it. We'll get it at a neutral site. And then Georgia Alabama Sports Live will be there. Come on. Let us have this. But Richard, and then Coach Black, we'll go to you to wrap this up because I know you have something you want to talk about with Carver. Me and you were talking about that off air. But Richard, number one, Central, they have had the toughest schedule. I talked with Coach Burkett on the Sports Vision Morning Show today, which you can listen every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. That guy has done an incredible job. And he did what you did, Coach Black. He backloaded his schedule. He front-loaded his schedule. He had a ton of talent. He's playing national. He's putting his program in the spotlight on them and allowing them an opportunity to play in front of elite college coaches. And his team is 25-4. And number two, the only reason they're not number one in 7A is because there's an undefeated team that's won back-to-back state championship in Hoover. But Carver Central may still beat them. I just love what I've seen from Jacoby Hill. I think this is the best he's ever played. He is just taking on the leadership role to another level. I love watching that young man, and they're so elite. They all got great chemistry. And Carver, from top to bottom, they may be the deepest team in our area. And Tony Montgomery can take over a game. But then it's really been Jacoby Castlin, Tristan Gibbons, and Tobias Tolbert. Those guys have been a revelation, man. They are just so mean, big, physical. They just get after you, Richard. You were there. You saw them play against Hardaway. You saw what they did against Spencer. They just suffocate the life out of you. Coach Eric Allen knows what he's doing with those guys, and they just dominate everybody.
Well, let's start with Central. That was the first time I saw them last week against Smith Station. They are deep. You talk about Jacoby Hill, Bryce Dawson, Jaden Ford, Jonah Jones, Dez Williams. They've got a deep team. I think that they could end up winning the state. As for Carver, I had an opportunity to see them in the beginning of the season when they didn't have their football players. They ended up beating a very good Creekside Christian Academy team. And I felt like once they got their football players, because Jacoby Castlin, Tristan Givens, Ace Thomas, these are really good role players.
Yeah.
But it starts with Tony Montgomery. And even when Tony Montgomery, gets hurt or is in foul trouble, you've got some players that step up. And the improvement of Tobias Tolbert, he wasn't just a 3-shot block a game type of guy. He's averaging 15 and almost putting up 7-8 rebounds. I mean, he is a post player, and they are deep. And they are ranked number 1 in 2A for a reason, because this was a team that went to the Final Four last year in 3A. Now they're in 2A, and they are beating everybody on their schedule. Their only 2 losses were to 2 teams that are higher classification, a New Manchester team and a Sandy Creek team that they lost to in the Final Four. And they beat an Etowah team, which is a 6A school that is in one of the top teams, according to Kyle Sandy and Sandy Spell.
Yeah, a great point, Richard. And Carver, by the way, I looked at those 2A rankings, Coach. I don't see anyone within 10 points. That's just in my opinion. I think they're going to boat race everyone in the 2A classification. You talked about this. It's one thing to beat teams that you're better than. I mean, blowing teams out, that's one thing. But the way you do it in the fashion, there's a high-level factor in it, Coach. You're one of the few that can see it because you've coached at that level and you've had teams at that level. Right now, they're not just beating teams. They are taking care of business and doing it at a high level. They're just on a trajectory to win a state championship. Isn't that right, Coach?
Yeah, no question about it, Thrift. And I got to get a city a secret. I had a conversation with Eric Allen and Tony Montgomery probably about a month ago. And, and it happens in high school basketball. They say they're getting bored. I say, if you're getting bored, you gotta figure out ways and create ways to have team goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I say your goal is to get stops. The Carver defense right now, Thrift and Richard, is at a whole nother level. And I know people be like, well, they ain't playing this, but it doesn't matter. Because with high school kids, they let other people score when they're not locked in. Carver Tigers only let Columbus High score 27 points today, 25, I think 27 points tonight. But that's hard to do in high school basketball, y'all. Like, they are defending, they're locked in, and I'm a believer in the Carver Tigers. If you get a group of guys that's really locked in the defense, you in trouble. And I think the Carver Tigers, Eric Allen got them locked in, just defending and achieving those team goals of not letting teams score 40 points or more every night. And I'm impressed. You know, the Carver Tigers, hey, sign me up. I'm on the bandwagon. Let's go, Carver.
All right, here's our rankings. All right, we're going to take them off. And, Coach, I want to wrap it up with you. Is basketball right now in our area, I think there's a lot of high-level teams, man. Just give me your overall assessment so far in this and what you're looking forward to as you get to call some of the region tournament games here coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Well, we'll start at the top with the Central Red Devils. Can Central beat Hoover? That's the number one question, I think, all across the state of Alabama that people wants to know. Can Central beat Hoover? I think they can. Why? Because they got the best schedule. They got the toughest schedule. They got a tougher schedule than Hoover.
Yeah.
So I think when you schedule tough like that, it'll get you over the hump. Carver, will they win the state championship? That's the question everybody wants to know. Can they win it? If they keep defending the way they're defending, yes, Thrift, they can win it. Everybody want to know, and the elephant in the room. Can Pacelli win the state championship without Jaden Ford? They on the road. The only thing gonna stop Pacelli from winning the state championship is Pacelli.
Yep.
You know, no question about it. You know, it's just about they get to a game and something just totally got to go totally wrong. They can have a bad game and still win the GIAA. It's just what it is. I know that. I created the league. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and on the girls' side, you know, man, I started calling the Hardaway Lady Hawks the state champions when they got beat last year. I say I just assume they're going to win it, and I think they still will. You know, I just think they're destined to win it. Like when we got beat in the state championship that year, I just think that it's their time to win it. Brian Thomas, are those girls hungry enough to win it back to back? Don't know. We're about to find out here in a couple weeks, though. And I'm just telling you, don't count out Anson Hunley and his team. They always gonna make a run. And boys and girls with Dustin Perdue, hey, Dustin Perdue is a Hall of Famer, Thrift. He's gonna always have his team in the mix, and I'm looking forward to it. But you know, this has been a great year of basketball, and I'm excited watching these teams in the playoffs because you know what? I love do or die time.
Yeah, Coach, it is your favorite time of year. Thank you so much for joining on. We look forward to having you on again and look forward to you being in the broadcast booth with me here coming up real soon. So thank you so much, Coach, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is Coach Corey Black. We appreciate him coming on. All right, we're going to take a break, Richard. When we come back, we're going to update where we're going to be at this week, and then we're getting out of here on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show.
You're watching right now the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this. Georgia Alabama Sports Live wants to say thank you to one of our presenting sponsors, Buffalo Rock, and their partnership with everything that we do. And without businesses like Buffalo Rock, we wouldn't be able to go cover softball, volleyball games, every type of high school sport you can think of, local college games, and professional. So thank you to those businesses that support us, and specifically Buffalo Rock. And next time you're watching a Georgia Alabama Sports Live broadcast after a nice long day, why not enjoy it with a nice refreshing Sorry? The best lemon lime soda around. Thank you to Sorry and Buffalo Rock for our partnership on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Welcome back to Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. As we're rocking and rolling, we're going to end it with where we're going to be at this week. And let's go ahead and throw it up there. Big Rich. Okay, so we got Griffin Ayers County that just happened. And then on Tuesday, we got the Glenwood Area Championship. I'll be there for that. We got CVCC softball at 1 and 3 o'clock to start the day off. Then Pacelli, Brookstone, Sumter County, Hardaway. Big games that's going to be happening at 6 and 7:30. And the Glenwood Area Championship is happening at 7 and 8:30. So looking forward to being there at those games. Richard, Pacelli, Brookstone will be on YouTube only. Hardaway, Sumter County will be on Facebook. And then we got Glenwood Area Championship that is going to be after that. So make sure to tune in on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Then on Wednesday, we got the Coaches Show. And, of course, we'll have our Georgia Alabama Sports Live show. Thursday, we got basketball. We got men's and women's LB Wallace at CVCC. And then we got Friday, Strong Rock at Calvary, Westwood at Pacelli. And we may try to add in there Sumter County, Carver at Sumter County. We probably won't. That is just a pretty long drive to not know the internet situation there. But we will be cheering on Carver. I promise you that. And Strong Rock and Calvary and Westwood and Pacelli, those are senior nights. So we'll be there. And then the Saturday, we got Strong Rock, Pacelli, Spencer at Hardaway. That's a senior day for Hardaway. And that is Pacelli makeup game against Strong Rock. And we potentially, Richard, at 11 o'clock, we'll be having the semifinals of the Muskogee County Christmas Tournament. But there are 4 games, 2 girls and 2 boys that we may be trying to do. I have not confirmed if we'll be there for that. We will be doing the Muskogee County Championship that is coming up the next week at CSU. I will confirm if we're going to be doing those. But we will be having those high school games, and this is our schedule for this week on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Richard?
Yeah, looking forward to the schedule. By the way, that Spencer Hardaway game on Saturday is at noon. Girls will start at noon. Boys will start at 1:30, which pretty much leaves Saturday night open. You know, I might have to go take up Dana Barker on that offer of maybe going to see the River Dragons on military.
Yeah, that could be pretty fun to be able to do. Make sure to like us on Facebook. We will drop tomorrow the rankings so everybody can share them. You see the updated standings. This is where we're going to be at this week on the Gas Live schedule, and we appreciate everybody tuning in. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Me and Richard will be on with DJ Jones, Sports Vision's morning show on Sports Vision 92.1 FM, starting at 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see you next time here on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, and by the way,
Yep.
I guess we're going to end it. I wanted to have a hot take on the Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till Wednesday because it'll be closer to the trade deadline, and we'll go in there because this show is gone super long. I'm going to hold off on my thoughts on that. I'm going to give it a little bit more time, seeing if any more information. Everybody's putting out hot takes right now. I'll have mine on, and Richard will have his on Huntsville's Hot Take Wednesday edition here on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile.